Welcome to the world famous Luskentyre beach here on the Isle of Harris. In this video, I'm going to be exploring and photographing some of the most amazing locations here in the UK as I wander across the Isles of Harris and Lewis. Here's a quick taster of what's coming up. There's a reason Luskentyre Beach is so popular with landscape photographers. Not only is it incredibly beautiful, but it has so many things to photograph. I've got the rolling hills there on the opposite side of the bay. I've got the sand dunes down there. I've got the golden sand, the turquoise sea, and that all pans round there, round the corner, up to the top of the beach there, where I've got the North Harris Mountains. So there's lots to photograph. I mean, you can even go down to the beach and look for patterns in the sand. But the thing that I've come here to photograph this morning, at least anyway, is the dunes. I'm going to go for a nice big wide open shot, and as the sun comes up above the horizon, or certainly above the cloud, it will hopefully just kiss the top of those sand dunes and really lighten them up. Other things that I'm looking for are obviously also patterns or shapes within the dunes. There's gaps, there's grasses, and then there's bits of sand. Try and pick out some shapes as well. And then if I'm lucky, I might get some little dappled light on the mountains, and that'll really add some depth to my photographs. Now, I've got my eye on a couple of compositions, perhaps a vertical, definitely a landscape orientation shot as well. Lots of variety here. And this is just the dunes. I mean, I've been here for a few days now, and I've shot Luskentyre in various different conditions. For example, it's really calm and still here at the moment, so there's barely any movement in the grasses. But I shot here last night as well, because this place works almost in all weathers, in all conditions, either sunrise or sunset. And I got a bit of movement in the grass, and I've really captured that movement with a slightly longer exposure, just to give the impression that those are moving. They're moving like waves almost. So I'll include some of those pictures as well. But it's just such an invigorating place to come, and I think if you want to come to Lewis and Harris and you want to pick your first destination, I think Luskentyre definitely has to be it. But I feel so happy to be alive when you come to a place like this. I hate to use the word, but it is something magical. Right, I'm going to go down there and hopefully capture the dunes in all their glory as the sun comes up above the horizon, and we'll get some really nice photographs. hope those photographs have given you an impression, even just a brief impression of what it is like here at Luskentyre. It is really one of the key locations if you're going to come and photograph Harris and Lewis. If you want a first destination to get your blood running and excited for this island, then Luskentyre is a great place. And like I say, there's so many different options to photograph here, whether you like the close-ups and the patterns in the sand, or the rolling hills or the wide dunes, or even capturing the waves as well. Really good. Hopefully I might make it back. I've already shot it several times, but I'm always happy to come back. But I might well come back here, maybe even finish the video for a sunset location. But that's the thing with the weather in Harris and Lewis. You can look at the weather forecast, it can be completely different, it can be worse, it can be better, you just don't know. But the one thing you do need is take a chance, because even here, some of the bad weather conditions can make for some really dramatic pictures. But it's been a fantastic morning here. I'm gonna go back to the hotel, have a breakfast, and think about where I'll take you next. From the tranquility of Luskentyre Beach in Harris, welcome to the dramatic coastline of Lewis and Stac free. So when you come here, there are a couple of different viewpoints. Obviously, your main focus in the composition is the archway, and depending where you stand, you'll get a slightly different view. So where I'm stood at the moment, this is going to be my first composition. I'm going to shoot it quite wide, because I like these lighter rocks here in the foreground, and then we've got the rock art set in the background. Obviously, out to sea, I'm going to use various different focal lengths to try and include some of the rocks that are just, at the moment, slightly hidden beneath the waves. And then when the water recedes across those, that will just hold that composition just in the corners there. So I'll have the rock arch, the rocks here in the foreground, and then those little islands of rocks there. Now, in terms of shutter speed, it's going to be a matter of just playing about with it. Definitely going to need some sort of ND, probably a 6-stop, and then I'm probably going to vary my aperture somewhere between a second, second and a half, 2 seconds. Because what I want to do is I want to get some movement in the water, but because there is so much white water, if I go for too long an exposure, everything will just turn white. So if I get the right shutter speed, I should still get some lines and trails. Now, one thing I will be absolutely upfront with you is, in the middle of my composition is a great big dirty white foam. You know, you get at the sea, all that sort of yellowy white foam right in the middle of the water. I am cloning that out. As far as I'm concerned, if it's temporary, then you can clone it out. That is definitely temporary and it looks horrible in the composition. So I will be removing that in post-processing. So just in case you see that in video and then you don't see it in the pictures. So this is my first composition, kind of a wide one. And then I'm going to walk around this little rocky outcrop a little bit. And the advantage of when I walk out that way is that I then start to get the water as it goes round the back of the arch. Now the tide is quite low, so I'm probably not going to get a full water all the way around, but I should get it crashing across the black rocks. That gives me a slightly alternative composition. But obviously the further around I go that way, the more oblique the angle gets with the rock arch, and I don't want to lose the hole. And then I'm going to go up to the next rocky outcrop, and I'm going to shoot a similar-ish composition, but I wouldn't probably have any foreground rocks in there. So there's quite a bit to shoot depending how brave you are, and this is pretty well as close as the edge that I'm willing to get. This is just amazing. Probably looks quite terrifying from where you are. Well, I hope those photographs have portrayed even just a little bit of the drama of this location, because there is nothing quite like standing on top of this cliff edge, which has a terrifying drop down to the bottom there. But just standing here, it's quite awe-inspiring watching Mother Nature blast waves across the coastline. It is a sight to behold, and if you get a chance to come to Lewis, this has to be a must-visit location. But I'm gonna pack up now. I don't think I'm gonna get any better light. It's not been perfect light, I have to admit, but just watching the sea and getting those slightly long exposures just really paints the drama of this location. So I'm really happy with the photographs I've got. Where am I going to go next? I don't know. But in the meantime, I'm just going to stand here and watch the sea a bit longer. Good morning and welcome back to Harris. As is the way with the Outer Hebrides, the weather can change quite considerably in a very short space of time. So as you can see, gone are the glorious clouds and the sunshine and that lovely soft light, and it's been replaced by, well, flat grey cloud and lots of drizzle. It's a bit damp out here this morning. However, this is the wondrous thing about places like the Outer Hebrides and the Isle of Harris. There's almost always still shots to be had. Hopefully you can still see me. I can see there's a bit of water getting on the front of my lens, but never mind. Yes, as I was saying, there's still shots here to be had. And this is one of the things that I really like about coming on a big photography adventure, because it kind of opens your mind to new creative ideas. You've got the time and the space to expand your photography horizons. So this morning, I've come down to this place called Small Beach. That's the English name. I'll put the proper name up below. But there are some beautiful rocks out there that deserve a bit of further investigation. My main compositional element for the photographs I'm going to take at this beach are these black rocks. They look absolutely gorgeous. They really add contrast between the lightness of the sand and the darkness of these rocks. And by picking different rock shapes out, you can make for some really interesting composition. So this is the kind of beach I can really sort of walk along and explore, because these black rocks are all along this beach. Key things to getting the blackness out of these rocks will be the polarizer, making sure I've got that dialed in correctly. And then actually, as I get closer to the water, what I'm going to be looking for is going to be looking for the waves to come in over the black rocks, and then as they recede back out, open the shutter. Now, in order to get me those kind of lines that you like to get as the water recedes back, I'm going to be using a neutral density filter, and importantly for coastal photography as well, I'm going to be using a shutter release that'll allow me to fire the shutter just at the right moment as the water recedes out, obviously then without touching the camera. So the types of shot that I'm going to get from this location, they're going to be quite minimalistic. Potentially there might be some scope for some abstract shots. And while they might not be pictures of banging sunrises along Luskentyre beach, it's still very representative of your experience here, or my experience here on the Outer Hebrides, and in particular Luskentyre, because, you know, sorry, not Luskentyre, Harris, because that's the way things are here. And it's still unbelievably beautiful when you look at it. Even in a grey, miserly day, that turquoise water is just stunning. So I'm going to take a walk along the beach, and I'm going to see what pictures I can capture. And it's just going to add to that collection of pictures that I've got, that's going to paint that picture of the Isle of Harris for me. If you're coming to the Outer Hebrides on a photography trip, take plenty of these. That's cloths for wiping the front of your lens, because you're going to need lots of them. But I have really enjoyed myself here this morning. It's been quite exciting to take different shots from the ones that I normally take, or not ones that include nice light. Searching out those more sort of abstract and minimalistic images, it's very good for the creative soul. But unfortunately, I have to say, this is my last day here in Harris. This weather is closing in, and it's not showing any signs of improvement. I thought there might be a bit of a gap towards sunset, but that's not looking likely. So I think this is probably going to be the end of the video, unfortunately. What I do hope is that you've seen all the pictures and the videos, clips that I've taken of this location, and you'll be inspired to come here yourself. I think I said in the opening part of the video, is this still the ultimate landscape photography location in the UK? And I still kind of think it is. It gets right under your skin. There's so many different types of photograph that you can take. Abstracts, minimalist, wide open vista shots, mountains, beaches. This place has got everything, and in a relatively small area. Yeah, it can be quite difficult to get to, but for me, it's a journey well worth taking. And you know, photography's not been easy for me over the winter period. Not had great conditions, and just coming away for a couple of weeks and filling myself full of photography, watching the camera there behind me. It's just been great, and it just rejuvenates me, and it's exciting that I go back home. But I've got a lot of image editing to do. But thank you for joining me on my Harris and Lewis adventure. I'm going to pop up my first video that I did when I came here first time in the corner of the screen, and probably another playlist. But thank you so much for watching. And if you've got any questions, or you've been to Harris and Lewis, and you've got some stories that you've experienced when you were here, please do leave them in the comments below. But thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.